It's hard as an adult, especially if you have changed occupations. You were with a certain set of people for multiple years, and then you are perhaps close to retirement, but you're not ready to retire and you want to do something else. Home video studio welcomes you, and the people are absolutely amazing. So I would not be where I am and would have not advanced and be more vocal and feel more at ease without the family aspect of the whole home video studio system.
Yeah, as I said, I was planning my exit from my career, and I actually segued into it by I had coached sports in high school for numerous years, and that was my first thing that I did was I quit coaching, and I still help out with the sport, but then that extra time allowed me to go part-time doing the studio, and I was pretty sure I could do it, and it worked out really well, and I did that for almost 4 years before I retired and went to more of a full-time thing, a full-time studio. I made the decision based on what my capabilities were and what I thought home video studio could help me with, and I'd always wanted to do it, and the stars lined up, and it was available to me, and so I made that jump.
My husband and I talked about, how we were going to use the money, because we've got, from the corporate world, we had stocks and things like that, and some retirement funds, and we feel like this is a good investment in our retirement, an opportunity to provide a legacy to our children and our grandkids, something we can hand down. So we just decided that we were going to use some of our retirement funds to put toward establishing the business. We feel like we can make it back. We've still got enough good years in us to be able to put the work in the business and build it.
During my 24-year sales career, I had an inkling that I always wanted to do stuff with video. Over the course of 24 years, I've always had my hands in video and audio. I've done wedding videography, I've done audio and video for churches, and I've always done things on the side. And as luck would have it, the opportunity came where I could go into home video studio full time. I was aware of the opportunity years ago, but never followed up since I did have a career. But when things changed, I thought this was a sign that this was the time to join home video studio.
Before I became a home video studio owner, I had a mixed bag of jobs that were mainly due to a lot of the technical, and they were in a lot of the installation and a lot of the corporate boardrooms installations, and really the parts and the pieces that all fit together for corporate boardrooms and a lot of that. Before that, I also worked at a church for many, many years in charge of all of their presentations.
Before I was a home video studio owner, I was involved in transportation and logistics, which took me far away from what I actually studied to be when I was in college. I actually was a theater major in college, and then when we got out and started looking for work, it was a lot easier to make money in other fields. And I got sucked into the transportation logistics, working for different delivery companies and courier services. I eventually owned my own business for about 14 years. And the last 10 years of my 32-year career in that industry, I was a service manager, operations manager for FedEx Home Delivery, ran 2 terminals for them. And then when I decided to retire, at what I thought was a relatively young age, I knew I didn't want to just sit at home. So I started looking for opportunities where I could open up a small business in the hometown that we were living in, Mount Dora, which is a quaint little town, and wanted to give to that community something that they didn't have. And I stumbled upon the opportunity that home video studio afforded.
The story of my journey, initially I checked into home video studio clear back in 2007 when I was leaving the newspaper business. And at that time I just wasn't ready. My kids were small, wasn't ready to make that leap. As my kids grew, and I was still, that was always kind of in the back of my mind. I've always wanted to do video. I've always done it as a hobby. So I contacted Robert again. Went to the getaway last year in Clearwater, Florida, and we spoke some more, and I signed on.
So throughout my video production career, I often would get Video Maker magazine, and in the back of the magazine there was a little ad for a home video studio. And I remember seeing that and thinking, that's kind of cool. I always had really wonderful jobs with great organizations, but I kind of in the back of my mind, I always thought, that would be something that I'd love to do at some point in my life. And so there was even one time where I cut that ad out and I just kind of saved it for years because I didn't want to forget, hoping that one day I might be able to look into it further.
I had been trying to start my own video services business for quite some time before that, and when I read the ad, I realized I need to call and find out more about home video studio, which I did, and that's when I first talked to Robert Hanley.
I saw the webinar in the evening, and I went and talked to my wife and told her that this was something I thought was very interesting, and it was right in line with what I'd been wanting to do. And so I immediately, like the next day, called Robert Hanley to discuss.
I was in my office and doing my normal daily job. So he comes into my office, he says, Tina, I found this thing on Facebook. It's video conversion. It's doing some photography stuff. But he said that this, I know it sounds funny, but this is something I really want to do. He says, I think this, I found my niche. He said, I've been doing weddings and senior photos and all of this for years, and this really fits with that. He said, I would really like for you to take a look at it. And so he showed me, a video on YouTube. And then we got on the phone with Robert and decided to set up time with him at the home office in Indianapolis. And I don't know, Keith, he doesn't just do things spur of the moment. He really likes to plan things out. He's very frugal with the money. But when I saw his passion, his excitement, I knew it was really important to him, so I knew I needed to be supportive of him.
For 30 years prior to joining Home Video Studio, I was a board-certified family physician in the Tampa, Florida area. In the past, I used to do my own video editing for family events. And as part of, when I moved to Colorado, I was thinking about what to do next as part of my career. And so I started bringing out things and started working on my own video. And I found some problems with some of my equipment. So I started looking for equipment. And one of the resources of purchasing new equipment was someone who owned a home video studio. And he said in his post, yes, I'm going to use this in my home video studio. And I started looking, what is home video studio? And within that for 2 days, I really explored everything and found everything I could online. And within 2 days, I actually was talking to Robert Hanley.
I have found that the onboarding process of becoming a new owner here is a very supportive one. Everybody's available to you. And some people even reach out to you without you taking the first step. They want everyone to succeed at this. We're not really in competition with one another, even though the Hanleys is a fun way of seeing what everybody's working on. But we're all rooting for each other. We're all wanting everybody to do well and to succeed. And there are people that have tried this and for one reason or another, it hasn't worked out for them. Usually they're the ones that cut themselves off from the rest of the group. When you lock into the network, when you lock into the other people and you pick their brains and find out what they're doing and how they're doing it, and then you can emulate that in your own studio, success is just around the corner for you.